The sound of my cell phone vibrating on the nightstand woke me from my drunken slumber. I sat up in my bed and immediately became aware of the throbbing pain in my skull. My stomach began to churn, and I cradled my head in my hands in hopes that I could stop the room from spinning. I never knew it was possible to be drunk and hungover at the same time, but as I sat there trying to prevent myself from hurling and massaging my temples, my body couldn't have felt more trashed. The evening had been a blur. I was at the homecoming football game with my girlfriend Ruth. We were making out on the bleachers and sipping cheap vodka out of water bottles. After that, everything went blank. I could remember flashes, just random images, but nothing more. Concentrating on the previous night's events wasn't doing my headache any favors, and I decided some aspirin might help to alleviate my agony. My cell phone went off again. I could feel the vibrations carry through the nightstand all the way down to my bedroom floor. The noise sliced through the silence in my room and pierced my eardrums, startling me out of my stupor. I snatched the phone off the side table and stumbled to my bedroom door. It was only then that I realized just how dark it was. I glanced up to the Felix the cat clock that hung on my wall and noticed it was only 3 a.m. No wonder I still felt wasted. I must have only been asleep for a couple of hours. As I wobbled down the stairs on my way to the kitchen where my family kept the aspirin, more images flashed through my mind. There was a house party after the game. My friend Davey was there. He gave Ruth and I a ride home. I remembered sneaking into my house through the back window, raiding the fridge, and passing out in my bed with my shoes on, which was odd, because I had woken up barefoot and in my pajamas. I fumbled through the darkness and into the kitchen. I didn't want to turn any lights on out of fear of waking my mom and being seen in my current state. I was still Mother's little angel, and her catching me intoxicated was the last thing that was going to cure my headache. I dropped my phone out of surprise and it clattered across the hardwood floor. I cursed under my breath and flung myself to the ground to pick it up. More memories flashed through my mind, lying in bed and seeing my mother's face looking down on me. She changed me into my PJs and kissed me goodnight on the forehead. Even though she tended to coddle me, it was still out of character for her to do something like that. She never came into my room unannounced, and she hadn't kissed me goodnight since I was 11. I placed my hand on the hardwood floor in order to push myself to my feet, but paused when I felt something wet and sticky on the ground. My immediate thought was that I had spilled something earlier while rummaging through the fridge, but when I looked at my hand, I knew that wasn't the case. Even in the darkness, I could see the crimson color of the mysterious liquid on my palm. The coppery smell made my already nauseous stomach begin to do somersaults. It was blood. I was sure of it. The pounding in my head took a back seat to the cardinal trail leading from the oven and into the living room. I followed the bloody path, afraid to find what would be at the end of it. The TV was on in the living room, and an infomercial for some expensive vacuum cleaner was playing on the screen. I hadn't heard the television because the volume had been placed on mute. At the end of the trail, in a pool of her own vital fluids, was my mother lying lifeless on the couch. She was completely nude, except for her house slippers, as if someone had removed her nightie. Her skin was pale, most likely due to the loss of blood that was still trickling out onto the rug. Considering how nauseous I had been feeling, I'm amazed I didn't vomit when I took a closer look at her. A careful incision had been made along the hairline of her scalp that ran down her face, in front of her ears, around her chin, and back up to the other side. I was staring at nothing but the cartilage and muscle tissue that the skin of her face once covered. The vibrations of the phone sent a jolt up my arm. I looked at the screen and noticed I had 5 new texts. This is what they said.
Hey, I made it home okay. See you tomorrow. Are you awake? I'm feeling really creeped out. If you're awake, please answer. I think your mom's standing at my window, and I'm really scared right now.
I'm at Ruth's, honey. Why don't you come over and join us when you get this message?